I am a 31-year-old woman, married, and I recently moved back in with my parents due to moving back to the town I grew up in. My husband and I are taking our time looking for our own place due to wanting something nice in the area, and that is usually hard to find. This story takes place in my parents' house starting back 10 years ago. A description of the house for a bit of context. It's a two-story brick stone house in the city limits, but still surrounded by nothing but woods. You have to go through a garage that leads into the kitchen with the first bedroom to your left. Past the kitchen is the main living room, and to the right is the hall that is very open. In this area, you will find the main dining room and second living area, but if you continue straight, you will see the staircase to your left, and even further straight is my parents' bedroom and bathroom. Going up the stairs, you will come to the third living area. So yes, this is a huge house, with two sets of French doors side by side that lead to the outside balcony. Going straight, the sharp left leads you to the other three bedrooms and two bathrooms, and this is where the story takes place. The first time I stepped foot into this house, I immediately felt off, like something just was not right. I felt a presence, but I didn't know what or who it was. I brushed it off, thinking I was just reading too much into it. I continued to feel this for the next couple of years, and because of this, I didn't much enjoy visiting them. My parents liked to gamble a lot back then, and so they would ask me to babysit my baby brother and sister one day on the weekend. My boyfriend, now my husband, loved them, so he would always babysit with me. The first few times I really didn't pay attention to the feeling I would get because we would be busy playing or eating with the kids. After that, things kind of chilled out and we would end up watching movies until it was time for us to go to bed. Now my husband is a freak of nature. It's like he falls asleep the second his eyes are closed. Me, on the other hand, takes me forever to get comfortable enough to wind down my mind. I also don't sleep well enough, and when I do, I finally get to sleep. This night was the first time I saw and heard something in this brand new house. In this room, the bed is facing the doorway, but not directly in front of it. With the double doors open, you can see the front of the staircase and all the way down the hallway. As long as the light is on, that is. This night, only one of the hallway lights were on. I was laying in bed with the TV on, but the volume down low so I could hear if one of the kids called me. I was almost asleep when I hear one of my siblings come down the stairs. I open my eyes a bit and wait for them to get to the bottom, but they never did. I don't think anything of it, so I close my eyes and begin to drift off again. A few minutes later, I hear again, so I open my eyes and wait, but again they never get to the bottom. This time I sit up and listen, a bit spooked, but nothing I cannot handle. I get a bit nervous, but still I go check to see if they are there, and maybe they are scared to come all the way down or something. No one is there. Confused and thinking I must be dreaming it up, I go back to bed, this time closing one of the double doors. It was a few hours later, around 2:30 a.m., when I feel like someone is very near me, as if they are standing next to the bed right in front of me. Usually when I open my eyes, I would see the green glow of the alarm clock on the bedside table, but this time I saw nothing. It was pitch black. I couldn't even see the hallway light on, and the TV had turned off on its own. I felt like I couldn't move. I was awake now and scared to my bones. I was finally able to call out my husband's name out loud enough to wake him. He reached over and turned on the light, and right then the scared feeling went away and I was able to move. I freaked out and started crying. I couldn't begin to explain to him what happened because even if I had, he didn't believe in those things. So I told him I was having a nightmare and asked him to go check on the kids. When he came back, he said the kids were fine and got back in bed. With the light on, I was able to fall back asleep, but it took me forever. The next day, I told my mom about what had happened, and that's when she told me. She had been hearing footsteps on the stairs at night and even saw someone standing by the door at times. She didn't tell anyone because she did not want to scare the kids. This is when she told me what she had done. She wanted to know what was going on in her house, so she went and bought a voice recorder. One day she decided to use it and went upstairs while everyone was gone. She asked her typical questions of, "Who is here? What do you want? And why are you here?" And then said, "You have passed away and need to go into the light. You are not welcome here." The next day, she decided to leave the recorder in one of the bedrooms upstairs while it was recording for about 4 hours while she was out running errands. I asked if she had checked it, and to my surprise, she said she was too afraid to listen to it alone. I wanted to listen to it. Off we went to the computer and began listening to it after it was uploaded. During the 4 hours she was gone, you can hear something clicking or tapping, sounds of a drawer opening and closing, but we weren't for sure. Then we listened to the part where she was asking questions. Now you could hear a sound that resembled a fan or maybe static throughout the whole thing, so some sounds were indistinguishable. But the one sound we did hear chilled us to the core. When she asked, "What do you want?" it gave us the answer. So I'm changing my brother's name for this. The answer was Jamie. It didn't answer any other questions except for that one. I cried immediately. He wasn't having night terrors for no reason. Something was there for him every night. We soon asked a friend to cleanse the house. For a long time, everything has been okay. My brother stopped having night terrors. My mom was able to sleep comfortably and all was good again. Until now. I have been living in this house for a month and a half. For the last 3 weeks, I have been seeing things everywhere, especially when I'm alone. Because of this, I won't stay alone anymore. I get this strong feeling of being watched. I had the feeling of someone pulling on my blanket at night. I think it is time for another cleanse. And just FYI, I am the third generation on my mother's side of the family that is able to see spirits. My dad's side of the family has, in the past before I was born, practiced black magic. I don't like speaking to them, and I won't dabble in any of the spiritual stuff most people do. I stay as far away from it as possible, and I recommend that you do too. Even if you are careful, these spirits can haunt for a long time, even after you are gone. So, update. I am sitting in the living room floor playing with my nephew. Mom's on the left couch and sister is on the right couch. My nephew has a toy piano that is made of cloth and can be folded up. This piano is behind us in the corner with all my nephew's other toys. We are talking and watching my nephew attempt to walk when his piano makes a sound. It's like someone is pressing the keys very slowly. We stop and stare, then look at each other shocked. Then the keys are pressed rapidly until it finally shuts off on its own. Mom and I are not scared. My sister's terrified due to something happening to her last night around midnight. But that's a different story I'll be posting tomorrow. The house we lived in was built in the 1920s. It was an old brick house with a strange layout. The rooms just felt off to me, like the flow of the house felt wrong, and even the rooms felt like they were in the wrong spots. We had a wine cellar underneath the house, which we accessed through the backyard. One section was open. The west side had a wall which was built with the bricks, with holes in them, so light would filter through during the daytime. The rest of the cellar was like a big underground room, or rooms you can stand up in and walk further into the adjoining room on the cellar, which led to a smaller opening into the brick wall which an adult could crawl through. Once in there, it led to each individual room under the house. This was so any electrical problems could be fixed. We also had the inside flooring heated, which was great in the winter. Yes, it does get cold in Australia in the winter. The house was always cold and made me feel uncomfortable and scared as soon as the sun would go down. My sister and I have experienced a few things in the house as well as my dad. However, this particular incident was absolutely terrifying. My sister and I were playing in our cellar with our dog. We looked up and in the darker area of the cellar stood a figure. It was a male and he was looking at us, not saying anything, although I've since spoke to my sister and she thought he said hello. Maybe telepathically because I heard nothing. But I had the most overwhelming sense of fear and absolute dread till my body, my chest was tight and I was frozen with fear. We knew what we were looking at was evil and not human. The figure looked at us. My sister told me that she vaguely remembered him having yellow eyes. However, I never looked at his eyes because something else about him was so terrifying I couldn't look away from that. He then started to walk further into the darkness in the cellar, then turned back to look at us again. He moved his head as if he was trying to beckon us to follow him. He gave us a terrifying grin as he looked at us. It looked like he wanted to hurt us. I was so afraid. We knew it was evil. We can feel the heaviness of his presence in the cellar. I'm not sure how long we stood there for, and I just wanted it to be over. Then my little sister grabbed me and we ran out of there and up the footpath back into our house, screaming and crying to Mom and Dad. telling them what had happened. I remember Dad running out there to look around, but he found nothing. I still have nightmares about that house like I'm trapped. It was one of the most terrifying things I've ever experienced. I also never went back into the cellar again. Since talking with my dad, he has even told me the house made him uncomfortable and we moved because of the activity and horrible feeling we all had in that house.